It all began with a phone call from Stephanie Mancini from the Working Center. They've been doing tremendous amount of outreach here in downtown Kitchener, and they said, you know what, we're in a crisis right now because it's November. As you can see outside, it's starting to snow and it's early. So we don't have a shelter renovated that we would hope would be done by now, and we need to house about 100 homeless people, and we're wondering if we could use the hall in the basement of your church. We started collaborating with other people and people who have a lot more experience in this than we do, and we gathered the people every night for 2 weeks, gave them a warm place to sleep and food on the table. It was really hard work. We learned a lot through the process, and then afterwards we got all these ideas about how to better reach out to others in need. Right around the same time, there was this fundraising campaign that was started up in the Diocese of Hamilton, and it's called One Heart, One Soul. So we want to get involved with that because we need money to renovate our hall and maybe build a new kitchen so that we can feed more people. We had a great idea about feeding people who were in need. People could see the need around them, and we said, you know, let's get young people in here making something like pizza or something. You know, we discovered it's the eternal food. Nobody gets bored of pizza for some reason, and so we bought a pizza oven, and you know, we were thinking about getting this, you know, medium-sized kitchen kind of, set up. And then as we started talking to other people, we found out that there was a local business that was getting rid of their commercial kitchen because they now needed meeting space and they weren't feeding their employees. So next thing you know, we have this full-on commercial kitchen, and we got it delivered thanks to some help with some parishioners, and it's delivered into our hall, believe it or not, just before the first lockdown of the pandemic. And so I'm looking at all of this in our hall and I'm like, wow, we got a pandemic project here. And we got our contractor in and did our homework and picking the right people and putting it together properly, bringing the inspectors in on early so that we could do everything to code, and just really doing the work that it took to build a really good commercial kitchen. After the build and after everything was paid for, which took a lot of doing and work and convincing of people to contribute, we realized that we were missing still one significant piece, and that was a chef. So as we were looking around and interviewing different people, we noticed that there was somebody in our RCIA program that happened to be a chef and a teacher. And she's really good at both. So she was the missing link, essentially. And once she came here, she had great discipline and talent and just for the culinary expertise required to raise the bar and what people would receive. She understood the population because she had done outreach work before, and she knew how to work with staff and volunteers and how to strike the right balance so that we had that skeleton crew that ran the place really, but then were there to assist the volunteers so that the volunteer experience was positive every time people came. And so once we had that kind of walk before you run thing built, it was beautiful to see it in full motion. It took us about 4 or 5 months to really get going, and a lot of incredible support from the community, especially the volunteers that came. And next thing you know, we've got this menu with 5 different kinds of pizza, and we've got this bite of the day that's coming out every day we're open, where it changes every day, whether it's a casserole or a chili or a butternut squash soup or something. We did salads in the summertime too. It was just a wonderful way to offer variety, which gave back a lot of dignity that we didn't really realize until people started coming and saying, thank you so much. This one woman, she said, these are tears of joy. This is why I'm crying, because this is the first time in 3 months that I've been able to have choice in what I'm eating. So it's a beautiful project. It grew. People really liked the food and the selection. We switched over to calzones. We folded the pizza in half and baked it that way, in part because packaging costs for the pizza were rising, and we could do a wrap with the calzone, and they stayed warmer longer. So then when they were delivered, sometimes we deliver extras to shelters and encampments and motels nearby. They would stay warm the whole journey, and people have a hot bite that night to eat. Some people ask us, where did the name Tiny Home Takeout come from? Well, It came from kind of a combination of things. We realized at the beginning of the pandemic we could only do takeout. Well, at the same time, we were trying to support a project called A Better Tent City, and we were building these little tiny homes so that people could live in them. And I thought, why not get one of those homes in front of the church and call it something like Tiny Home something? And they're like, well, you know, other people are like, it's takeout, so there's the alliteration with Tiny Home Takeout. And we're like, yeah, maybe that's it. And we quickly went to the internet, and we're like, can we get the domains and everything else? And we were like, no problem. You know, we're first in. Nobody has thought of this before. So we immediately snagged those domains and social media platforms, and we built it. And so Tiny Home Takeout was born, and the logo and everything else kind of emerged from a graphic artist we got from high school. He worked through it, and then we got a professional sign company to design it, and everything came together beautifully.
Father Toby had core individuals already involved in the process. He had people that were willing to volunteer and ready to go. And we started to give ourselves direction. All right, well, we're going to serve this many pizzas, and we're going to do this many daily bites. And I realized very quickly that the people that were coming regularly. I mean, if we think about the way that we eat and we think about our diets, if we were stuck eating the same stuff every single day, I mean, it would get boring pretty quick, and it really doesn't introduce any variety into your diet, and it doesn't really allow space for a healthy way of eating. And so if we were going to stay true to the fact that we were serving restaurant quality meals, healthy, hearty, and all of those good things, and we know that these people are coming to us 5 days a week, then we needed to ensure that we were providing variety in the daily bite. We have to remember that up front, we had maybe 50 or 60 people show up. We were making maybe 100 portions of food, and still we were having leftovers. So as they started to show up and the numbers started to grow, that's what allowed us to kind of like make our path. The stepping stones kind of put themselves into place, which is what essentially allowed us to like build towards what it is that we have now. So one of the goals for Tiny Home Takeout is, of course, we wanted to grow. We wanted to try and meet the need as much as possible, but it was really important to remain focused on the fact that like our goal is to feed everybody and anybody who comes at a price that everybody can afford, right? With grab a bite, give if you can, and that needed to stay at the forefront. A little while ago, where we really started to look at what it is that we were doing, we figured, how do we hold hands with the community? How do we hold hands with partners? How do we make it so that we can all work together? And so the WCDSB is just in our backyard, and we just saw it as an opportunity to not only partner with them in the sense of, you know, let's get the word out and let's grow, but also let's get the students in here so that we can start showing them, you know, what it's like to give back to their community. We started with a pilot. We had 10 classes come in. They loved it. They would do a church tour upstairs with the outreach coordinator, see, you know, what it's all about, kind of like a free exploration type thing. They'd come down here, learn a little bit about Tiny Home Takeout, what it is that we do, how we do it. They'd go up for mass, they'd have lunch, and then they do volunteering in the afternoon. So they take care of some of the activities that the volunteers do. This year we ran it again. It filled up, I think, less than 24 hours. All spots were filled for the entire school year, so we're going to call that a success for now. There's again still some tweaking that needs to happen, and we're hoping to launch it again for next year. In terms of going mobile, this one was a little bit different. So going mobile and Tiny Home Takeout work together, but we're catering to two different groups of people. Tiny Home Takeout caters to everybody who comes here. We serve them from 5 to 6:30, 5 nights a week. Going mobile, we prepare the food for them, we prepare the meal bags for them, and their delivery team comes in at night, grabs those 100 bags, and they go out a little bit further to those who are sheltered in other encampments, and pretty much anybody they run into along the way, and they deliver meals to them because those individuals don't have a means of getting to us. The question that I get a lot is, how is Tiny Home Takeout funded? We do have a variety of funders. The Diocese of Hamilton is backing us at $200,000 a year for 5 years. The Congregation of the Resurrection has just signed on to support us for $120,000 a year moving forward. And then we have a lot of donors that do drop large donations on a yearly basis to continue to support us. Of course, anybody who's able to give if you can outside, we do collect that. And so over the course of the year, that probably gives us about $30,000. And then on top of that, we try and do a couple little fundraisers over the course of the year. But our big one is Hunger No More. We want to create a food festival for everybody. Whether you can come out, you can have a great time, you don't need to worry about spending anything. If you want to donate, great. If you want to contribute, great. If you want to partake in the silent auction, you're more than welcome to. And so it really just kind of opens the door to bring everybody and anybody together, contributing towards the same cause and, you know, supporting Tiny Home Takeout at the same time. So when we open versus now, I mean, a whole lot has happened, but I think for me, yes, we're pumping out a ton more food, and yes, we are serving a ton more people outside, and that is awesome because it's, you know, matching what our mission is. The big thing is seeing the growth of the volunteers and how they've come together to be a tight-knit community down here, and then in turn mirror that for the people outside who are coming to get their food.
What I love most about Tiny Home is they're very inviting. They're very inviting, and it's a great resource to use. They just have great food and great service.
What I like most about Tiny Home Takeout is the food is phenomenal. The staff are really nice, make everybody feel safe, and the apple juice is pretty bomb.
What I love most about volunteering here is the sense of family that has developed in volunteering here over the years.
We have a lovely ritual. At the end of an evening, we all gather in the church basement and eat the food that we have been dispensing. That is kind of the highlight for me, the end of the evening, not because the work is done, but rather the conversations can really begin.
We're all God's children, and we all deserve to be treated with respect and love and concern and compassion. And I feel that this organization does exactly that.
And we meet people where they are every single day, whether we meet people where they are here or outside. We join them and we connect with them. We hear them, we recognize each other, and we honor each other where they are.
I like to think we're making it easier for them to eat a meal because it's well prepared and it tastes great, as opposed to giving them something that isn't appealing at all. Everybody deserves a great meal. It doesn't matter where you come from, and we want to provide that for them, and at the same time give them a boost of self-esteem.